Good afternoon, and thank you for your time today as we have a discussion on how to get started on your journey to AI. Now, earlier in the forum, you had some great sessions on the technology and what to look for and some use cases. And later in this forum, you're going to go into some deep dives into some specific areas that I'll talk about in a minute. But I think as you think through the information provided, as you think through all the use cases possible, you and other customers we've talked to are faced with some common concerns. How do I get this to happen? How do I build a solution that meets my customer needs, that does all the things I need it to do? And it can be quite daunting. I appreciate that. So today in the Journey to AI session, we are going to go through how to get there and how to break that journey down into smaller problem solutions. Now, when we look at data science, we often talk about building models, and that takes up a lot of the discussion. We talk a lot about models for churn analysis or predictions, and those are really, really important, but they are only a fraction of the total work it takes to make a solution effective. First, you have to identify what is the use case. Really come up with a good problem statement. Try to solve something. And who are you solving it for? What customer? What internal stakeholder? Because any good problem solves something, and if you solve it, you get return on investment. Once you have that problem statement or use case identified, you need to look at the data. How do you prepare it? How do you make it accessible? And during a pilot or a POC, it can seem quite simple to get the data together. When you're in production, it's a different matter entirely. How you bring that data in from different sources on an ongoing basis, make sure only the right people see it, make sure the transformations you need to do it are correct so they feed the model correctly. And as we discussed, then you have to build and deploy and test all those models. And that's where a lot of data science is focused. But then the big challenge, right? How do you take that and move it into production? And that involves improving the models over time, making sure those models don't drift or build in bias, even if you try to address that bias when you first built it. And then, how do you continue to grow the solution so that it remains relevant to your customers and relevant to your business? To address these, IBM has come up with a way of taking all those components and putting them into 4 different areas, primarily centered around common objectives or technology. This is called the AI ladder. The first step is to collect the data. And this is really around data modernization, making your data available and accessible throughout your production run. How do you do that effectively and efficiently so you don't have to wait many hours to get the information you need? Then, how do you organize that data? How do you make sure that the transformations are run, that they're correct, that they're available when you need them to be available, and that data is available to the right people or the right applications? That's governance. And this is all part of data operations, which is a growing part of how we manage our data estates. Then the data science journey you have to go on. Analyzing data, doing the model building, building that first chatbot, building those first search solutions. That's a large area and we spent a lot of time on that. But lastly, and I think this is the area that's growing the most, is how do you take all that good work, all that good data, and make it available to your company in an ongoing basis? And that's called infuse. How do we embed that into how your company works? And that's an area of growth that we really need to talk about, and which is a core to success. So you can think, as you are doing this work and listening to all these discussions of breaking the data, breaking your journey into components on the ladder, many clients, even on hearing that, might say, great, I understand, I have a way of doing that, but still, transforming AI is a big deal and a lot of work. And they ask us all the time, will it take too long to build a full solution? How many people do we need to get involved? Those are cross-functional teams, not just the partner, but how many people who are subject matter experts or from the IT department? How much will it cost? what's my ROI? How can I get my money back and make money off this? And lastly, that lingering concern, especially with big solutions. Will the solution work the way we need it to work? And we've all been there before on large transformation projects where we identified a great software, a great package, and we spent a year or 2 years implementing it. And at the end, it's implemented and it only delivers part of what we wanted it to deliver. And in fact, in many instances, we changed our business process to match the technology, which is incorrect. And what I'll talk about today in the journey to AI is that the technology should always follow the business need and the business change. And how do we do that? With IBM Garage. IBM Garage is a methodology. It's an approach to addressing those concerns. It allows you to innovate and transform in almost bite-sized chunks. So you can develop new ideas, push them out and test them, and scale them across your business very quickly. At the core of Garage, at the core of its success is not technology. At the core of the Garage success is culture. What does your company do? What does it need to achieve? How does it work? What do your customers need? What do your employees need? That culture, if you address those concerns, will have the greatest chance of success going forward. And there's a way we go and achieve that with the Garage as well. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But importantly, to make Garage successful, it's a collaboration. Collaboration of creation, collaboration of execution, and really a cooperation across both your business with those of your partner, but within your company. And we've seen through the Garage methodology different teams coming together who never really worked closely before, and that's changed their understanding of what success can look like and developing successful solutions. So let's talk about those engagements for a second. Making a Garage engagement successful is not about getting together and just tinkering on some MVP or some solution quickly. You have to put some thought into it. First, you want to frame the business challenge, really narrow down what is really important to your business at that time. Then you'll take that challenge and you have to envision what the solution looks like, or solutions. And essentially, we look at a business process or an area that you're focusing on, and we break it down into challenges that are faced by the teams, and whether those challenges have the right level of impact and how hard are they to implement. And with that, you end up with a great roadmap of ideas that you can then go and execute on. And you usually start with the idea that's probably the highest impact, lowest cost, right? Just to get going quickly. Then obviously you need to start looking at the architecture. Now, the important part here is, as you build and decide on the tools and architecture you need to address that particular problem, you don't need to change everything. You just need to make sure that the platform you have, the tools you're working with, are scalable or extensible as you begin to grow and expand your solution. And then we do the actual build. So this is an MVP, or minimum viable product. This is the solution that addresses a particular problem for a particular group of people, and you test and iterate through it. And once you feel confident enough, it doesn't have to be perfect, then you release that and you do scale. And scaling is not just going out, making it available to the whole company and forcing people to use it. Scaling is about pushing it out, making it available, and getting feedback and constantly improving. This is continuous improvement, continuous deployment as a process to drive a more effective scaling than you have if you just push something out. We accomplished these successes in Garage by building on 5 foundational pillars. Number 1, people and capabilities. And I don't just mean the capabilities of your partner or your IT teams, capabilities within your business. Line staff who are working, whether they're on a machine floor or service staff or customer staff in a bank. It is amazing to me, and it always amazes me, the kind of intelligence and creativity we unlock when we engage people who are really living their experiences and are able to participate in a process to solve their problems. Then you need technology. We don't lead with it, but once you've figured out what you want to do, you need a technology suite of tools and services that allow you to build and scale out your solution. Then you need a new way of working. So this is really using agile methodologies, working in cross-functional teams, not being afraid to fail, to test, and then redeploy and iterate. And I think this is important in new ways of working, that you're not looking for perfection. You're looking to address and be good enough to test and go out to the market. Interestingly, as we have all challenged over the past few months with restrictions on travel, restrictions on meeting, we've also come to understand that we all don't need to be in a room together to make these projects successful. This is what we did last year, year before that. Now, we can all meet virtually. And the success of those virtual meetings, being available anywhere, has been based on preparation, being ready, but also IBM bringing to the table a series of tools and collaboration tools that enable a much more effective kind of engagement. And lastly, our ecosystem. So for a while, IBM has been focused on open source. And I say that sometimes open architected. We recognize that all customers, that their different organizations already have tools and preferences in their company. And we want to leverage that. We also want to bring the best of what's in the market to your problem. And so we can, through Garage methodologies and through our architectural techniques, bring together third-party tools or partners, all to work together to build a solution that works for you. So how do we get started? The Garage approach, I think, has three big themes. Think big. I know I've talked about in the past few minutes, starting small and thinking about the MVP problem. But don't forget, you've got a big idea and a big problem to solve. Don't ever forget that. But once you have that idea, figure out what are the components of success. How do I break that into problems that, if solved, that solution to that sub-problem will have independent value, will deliver something back. So start small. And then once you've done that sufficiently, go and scale it. Make scaling, continuous improvement, continuous deployment, part of the corporate DNA. AI is not a project. AI is a change in how you do your business. And scaling appropriately and managing that scale is a key to your success. So to help you further down and get more detail on how you can go forward, we have a number of deep dive sessions later in the forum. And we've grouped them into, I think, 2 or 3 broad categories. Firstly, around the technology. What do you need to know about cloud modernization, data operations? All really, really important things that give you the infrastructure, the information architecture to succeed. Then, what do you actually do with AI? And I think it's important because we've done a lot of work with clients and we want to bring that knowledge to you of what kinds of solutions have been successful for contemporary problems. So AI for risk compliance. Incredibly important today with the increased use of online payments, online discussion forums. Risk and compliance has grown. AI for customer service. It is important to recognize that not only have online transactions gone up, but people are operating at all hours now. And in fact, customer service staff are facing peaks and valleys in usage that's not tied to a regular day of the week. There are particular events. People are concerned and have lots of questions. So your customer service has to be scalable and dynamic. And we'll talk to you about that in the session. And then AI for financial operations. So the underlying operations of company, if improved and made more accurate and made faster, can deliver benefits to end customers and make their experience with your company a lot more effective. So I want to thank you for your time today, for your taking time to understand and listen about this journey to AI, and for going on the morning sessions and joining the forum in the afternoon. I hope you enjoyed today's talk and have a great rest of your forum.